Okay, now in this session we're going to look at costing and pricing. Because it's so involved, we're actually going to divide this into three separate videos, so certainly look for the one which is going to suit your needs mostly. First one is going to be on the as if you're costing into an hourly rate situation as if you're starting up in business. There'll also be one on costing more in the retail industry, and also one to be able for businesses that are established to recognise whether their pricing is appropriate for what they're doing now. They can track that their pricing is in line to their expenses. Okay, firstly, most importantly when looking at costing is to look at what it is you want out of the business. What is your expected income? What do you want it to be? I've used a very simple exercise here, which I think is worth taking note of. I've been very conservative with the figures that I've used, but they aren't only just some figures I've pulled out of the sky, and to an extent they may be for you in the first instance. So in this little exercise, what I've done is I've put down as your expected income to be, say, 50,000 taxable income a year. Secondly, we have to look at the fixed overheads. Now, the fixed overheads are including your insurances or your equipment that you need to operate the business. In the first instance, your phones, your cars, all your marketing expenses. Also, don't forget things like any income protection insurance for yourself, for your sole trader, and also superannuation for yourself. All those sort of expenses. If you were to employ staff straight away, that would need to go in there as well at this point for this exercise. So everything you would need to have to operate your business, but not including what's classed as variable overheads, what I call various variable overheads, is any stock or purchases of goods. The next thing is should always have profit. Now, we said 50,000 was your income. If something goes wrong, where does the money come from? It's going to come from there normally. So always have a profit line as well. So we're including 5,000 profit in this exercise. So total of your expenses in this scenario is going to be $80,000, which will tell you in the first instance that you would need to register for GST for starters, because 75 is the cut-off for that. So that gives you an indication on that straight off. Now, how long are you going to be open for business each year? How many weeks a year? Are you going to have holidays, or are you working public holidays? We need to understand that side of it. Now, generally there's 2 weeks of public holidays. You should also make sure you're still getting a break yourself. So I like to consider that 46 weeks is at least a reasonable number of weeks to be doing this scenario on. But that's going to depend on your different industry. If your business is affected by weather or other climatic changes or other impacts that can change business, you may need to reduce that down further. But if you work on the 46 weeks a year for this exercise, now that means that by dividing the 46 weeks into the 80,000, it's leaving us with $1,740 a week you would need to turn over to meet this scenario. That's just in your expenses. So charge out hours per week. You might be open for business as far as if it's a service business, you may be working for 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week. But how much are you actually able to charge out at? In a lot of scenarios, I would suggest that you're pushing to probably get 30 hours of charge out time per week. So I've used 30 for this instance. It may only be as low as 25, so you have to be very, very realistic in what you're going to be able to charge out to people. So in this scenario, 58 hours a week is what the answer would be. 30 into the 1740 comes up to 58 as a round figure. Hours, dollars per hour that you would actually be charging out at as a minimum. And that is as long as you can have 30 hours of charge out every week for a full 46 weeks of the year. So you have to take that in consideration. But that quickly gives you an idea of the type of costs you're needing to, the rate that you would need to charge out at. As a simple exercise, as an equation, basically you got your income plus your fixed overheads plus your profit equals your expenses divided by the weeks per year, then divided by the hours, charge out hours per week, it's going to give you your hourly rate. So have a good look at that, and certainly any questions, queries that you have in regard to it and how variations can affect you, certainly talk to us at the BEC. And make sure you look at the other videos that we have in our series to see if there's any variations which may affect in your individual business. Till next time.